As I tell you my story of teaching, we will be visiting different places throughout my life. I will tell you why all of these places are important to my story of teaching. Your life as a teacher begins the day you realize you are always a learner. I put this quote in here because I really connect to this quote because every day as a teacher, you're always learning something new, whether that be a new classroom management skill or something new you've learned from your students. I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. I have two older brothers who would never play my girly games, like school. My mom would buy worksheets and I'd give the page to my student, also known as my dad, as schoolwork. He would, of course, always play. He even had a made up name when he was my student, which was always Rex. As I continued to grow up, I never thought about being a teacher. When I was in high school at Mount Notre Dame, everyone always assumed that I would follow in my grandpa, dad, and brother's footsteps and become a pharmacist and work in the family business. I knew I did not want to do that. I've always wanted to work with kids. After high school, I attended Ohio University in Athens, Ohio. The short semester I was there, I majored in speech pathology, and my goal was still to work with children. Nearing the end of that first semester of college, I knew speech pathology wasn't for me. I knew I needed to rethink things. I brainstormed and researched possible jobs with children. As I was researching what I wanted to do, I constantly kept thinking about how much impact my teachers had had on me throughout the years. I kept thinking of my third grade, eighth grade, and one of my high school teachers. My third grade teacher always made our days so much fun and memorable. My eighth grade teacher always let us know that she cared. My high school teacher started at my high school the same year I was an incoming freshman. I ended up having the same teacher every year of high school, and she ended up encouraging me to become the editor of my high school's yearbook. And this teacher I still talk to today. I continued to think about different impacts teachers have had on their students. I thought about how rewarding it would be to become a teacher like some I had had in the past. I knew I could make learning fun and engaging, so I moved home from Athens and transferred to UC, where the real journey started. Attending UC has led me to work with some amazing schools, both public and private: Rockburn Academy, Mason, and Lakota. My preschool practicum took place in a Jewish day school, with 14 students on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and 12 students on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This was the smallest group of students I have been with during my preschool practicum. I almost felt nervous because I didn't know much about teaching. As the days went on, I got more confident. My mentor was amazing and answered any and all questions I had. Moving on to my kindergarten placement, Mason Early Childhood Center. My very first public school experience, since I never went to public school myself. This semester was a struggle, and I was often doubting myself as a teacher because of the lack of knowledge that I had, and I didn't have much support from my mentor teacher. Our styles of teaching was definitely different, and we had different opinions on some situations in the classroom, but it was her classroom, so I went along with it. When I found out where I'd be student teaching, I was thrilled. I knew Lakota was an amazing school district, and throughout my experience at Cherokee Elementary, I have learned so much about teaching, differentiation, and classroom management. Both of my mentors are creative in the way that they teach and make every subject so individualized. My teaching style has emerged throughout my student teaching experience. I noticed when I started teaching, it was very basic, teaching a concept and having a student apply their knowledge through a worksheet or something similar. Now I love to bring anything to enhance students' learning, whether that be something hands-on like mealworms or caterpillars in science, or extending students' learning through a project-based learning experience. As Piaget had said, children's interactions with their environment are what creates learning. Piaget has said that children construct their own knowledge by giving meaning to the people, places, and things in their world. I'd like to say my teaching style varies according to what subject I am teaching. In math, I love the individualized way I have taught students based on their individual needs. We have used a flipped classroom model in math class. We have grouped our students into groups based on their needs, and then I film different videos teaching them a math concept, and then they do a practice worksheet on their own. Then they do an exit slip, which is what is graded. And so many students have blossomed during this flipped classroom model. We've had parents come in and tell us that they've never seen their child work so hard in math, so it's been very rewarding. While teaching reading or ELA subjects, it is important to use a variety of direct instruction and modeling. At Mason and in Lakota, where I am right now, we use the Lucy Calkins curriculum for reading and writing, and that is teaching a strategy and then having the students try that strategy on their own in their Just Right books, but on their own reading level. So the concept that we teach reaches every student no matter the reading level that they are on. When it comes to science, an inquiry-based learning would be beneficial to the students by giving them something to explore, and then as the teacher providing the students with the necessary materials to discover or uncover information. Like Montessori, Piaget believed children needed every possible opportunity to do things for themselves. So in science right now, we are using mealworms and caterpillars turning into butterflies to observe the stages of each of those animals. And the kids have been learning different things. There are a couple things that I find important to succeed with your students. One is a big sense of community, a growth mindset and positive attitude, being reflective, enthusiastic, and inclusive, and so much more. So a sense of community brings all the students together and lets all students know that they are welcomed in the classroom. The growth mindset and the positive attitude I will talk about more on the next slide. And then being reflective as a teacher is always an amazing thing because you are reflecting on the lessons that you've taught every day and enhancing them to make them better for the students. Enthusiastic is super important because if you're not enthusiastic about what you're teaching, your students won't be either. And inclusive with all the students, all their needs, and their family. Because when their family is welcomed in the classroom, they know they are welcomed as well. Children prosper with warm and sensitive teaching, integrated learning, ongoing authentic assessment, a blend of child-guided and teacher-guided activities, and the strong support and involvement with their families. That is a quote from our DAP book that I just loved that I thought connected with this way of succeeding with your students. This is my growth mindset board that I made in my current student teaching classroom. I made it right before their air testing, and a lot of them have struggled with the air testing and having a positive attitude about it and a growth mindset. So these are just examples of how they could change their words to change their mindset. Also, a big belief of mine is that students will struggle to be successful in any classroom if the teacher isn't supportive. The students look up to their teachers, and if their teacher doesn't try to build a relationship with his or her students, the students won't try either. A teacher should be somebody who nurtures inquiry and supports the children's own search for answers. My classroom management style is still emerging, absolutely still improving. It improves with every day that I'm in the classroom. A big classroom management thing for me, like I said before, is creating a community. And I will do that by, on the first day, we will make a class promise. And the picture to your right is the class promise that we have in my third grade classroom right now. I also like to use the term procedures instead of rules because some people say that rules are meant to be broken and procedures are more to be followed. I also will set high expectations from day one and continue those same expectations consistently so the students always know what is expected of them. And then one other thing that helps with students gain responsibility is giving them classroom jobs. So in my third classroom this year, students have jobs like board cleaner or attendants or messenger, door holder, basket carrier, just things like that. They make them feel important and they want to help their classmates that way. This is my classroom organization, my classroom layout from our classroom management class last year. So I have the big circle rug where we will do whole group lessons, and we all can feel close and like a big community. I also have my reading table up in the right-hand corner. It's in the right-hand corner just so if I'm there with a small group, I can still see the rest of the room. And same with the teacher desk in the bottom right-hand corner. And I made the reading nook like right by the door, with shelves, beanbag chairs, and I want to have some really comfy chairs and make it feel really relaxing in there. There are a lot of people who have gotten me through my journey becoming a teacher. My family's in the middle. I couldn't have gone to college without my parents, so that's a big thank you to them. And then my fiance's on the left. He's always supporting me every day through this. And then my dog's just a big comfort for me. And then my amazing mentor teachers have taught me so much in this year at Cherokee.